Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of The Witcher, Season 1 and 2. Alright, cast and crew information down below. And let's start off with this IMDb plot real quick. Geralt of Rivia, a solitary monster hunter, struggles to find his place in a world where people often prove more wicked than beasts. Alright, simple plot there, but lots going on here. So, let's start off. This is obviously on Netflix, whereas this is where I'm catching this one. I don't usually do these reviews of Season 1 and 2 combined. I had started Season 1, way back. I think Season 1 was 2019, but then stopped. My wife wanted to watch it too, and then never got to it. And then I guess Season 2 got put off because of coronavirus, and then everybody said, no, I'm just going to binge this all together. So finally the time has come. We both watched it, we both binged it together. So I'm finally here, getting a chance to talk about it with you guys. So I guess that's a lot to cover, but I'm gonna try to not go through it all, and I guess I'll give an ending review, score of where we are at the end of Season 2. But this is obviously a big thing, big series. I guess there's a prequel. I guess it's based on books or some. I don't know if it's a book series, but I guess there's also a prequel to it. I think there's going to be a spinoff to it, if that hasn't started already. I don't know. Just lots going on here. So this is definitely not the end of this, as we can see. Probably it's going to go on for a while, but that's fine. That's fine. And definitely liked where it started. Obviously, you do get introduced to Geralt, and he's kind of a mix of a knight and a witch. I guess that's the way to kind of describe him. Doesn't use a lot of his witch-like powers, at least to start. I think you see that kind of unfold later as the series goes on. I think early on they keep him more of mysterious. When I say knight, I don't mean like he's the good knight in shining armor and I'm out for good. He doesn't say a lot. He doesn't want to talk a lot. He's definitely a loner. Him and his horse are just kind of going around killing monsters for money, and that's kind of how he's staying alive and keeping moving and so forth. And you see early on, it obviously starts off with a big fight and a big monster to kind of show you what he can do, and that he's a good fighter and blah blah blah. So you get that introduction, you get that out of the woods, and then you get the first couple episodes. You're just kind of getting used to that. You're seeing how he is alone, doesn't really want to be bothered. A lot of people don't like him, but he is in need. And then they kind of slowly build on letting you know what a Witcher is. He kind of gets involved with people here and there, kind of piecing small pieces together, where he came from, what Witchers are, how they're received by others, and again how he's kind of getting paid for these jobs, and it's not like where he's taking everything. It's like, oh, you got a job for me, I'm gonna take it. No, he doesn't seem like a person who would have his morals and his bounds, but he does. And does he play by destiny? Maybe a little bit. And there's more discussion of destiny as this goes on. But he picks his battles. He knows, am I going to get into this mess? I'm not going to get into this mess. Am I going to fight your battle? I'm not going to fight your battle. Is it... it's more like if you just really wanted to get rid of a monster because the monster is kind of like eating your cows out there in the field, he's going to do it because the cows eating the field. The monster's eating your cows in the field. But if maybe he thinks that you have some other kind of thing going on here where he's, almost winning a fight for you instead, and maybe he's a little more suspicious. And then maybe if he doesn't really think that it's the right place for him and he's not going to do it. So you kind of get that, from the beginning where you think he's just a bounty hunter. No, he's there's a little bit more to him. And then we start getting introduced to, as this kind of goes on, some other characters that are going to play a role in his life. There's Yennefer, who's this deformed, weird little girl, a young woman, I should say, or a young girl, and you know, not really sure what's going on there with her. Bounced around. She's obviously deformed, so she gets picked on. Nobody really wants her. She's not gonna get any good job or anything like that. Until she kind of gets caught up into, I guess the best thing to call it is a witch school, or sort of sorcery school, or something kind of that effect. And then to kind of test to see if she has magical powers. And being this is a fantasy world, there's witchers, there's elves, there's regular humans, there's a couple of different groupings going on here, and then there's some mutations that kind of plays into it. That's kind of what the Witchers kind of came of, and then there's some other things going on here, and that's obviously where these monsters are coming from here. So there's some groupings going on here as well. So you get Yennefer, and I love the name Yennefer. It was just, I just always wanted to say Jennifer, but it's Yennefer. So something about that, and the more they said it, just enjoyed listening to the name. So you're gonna get to kind of see her kind of growing uppings and where she's going, and then you're gonna go see another young woman named Ciri, and she's kind of growing up in a more normal circumstance, and the other end of things. Daughter to kings and queens and riches and power, so she's living in a castle and kind of hidden away, but she's still got a little bit of a side to her. She knows, she may not know it, but there's something else going on there with her, and she's a little bit in hiding, and there's people that are kind of know what she's all about, but are doing some hiding of her as well. So those are, I guess, the three main players, and you're gonna have some other people along the way. But obviously, the Witcher and these two women are eventually gonna come together in one way or the other, and going forward and seeing what's happening in this world and how this world is changing. Like I said, there's a lot of good, a lot of bad. Fighting between people. It seems like the Witcher's destiny is to kind of be involved with these three women. Ciri definitely for sure. Yennefer is more, I guess, kind of just along the way, and there's always a lot of going back and forth. You're never really going to know what her role is, good or bad, and she's back and forth, but she's a big part of what's going on in this world as well. Ciri is huge. Ciri is I guess like I said, Destiny. Destiny is the Witcher, Geralt. Him and her are supposed to meet, and it's just a thing that's going to happen in this world. It's destined. So lots of things happen, and yes, to bring that apart. I should have said spoiler alert or whatever. I think as you watch this, you're going to kind of see this. I'm not going to get towards the end of season 2 and where this kind of ends up going. I'm going to assume everybody saw season 1. But I'm going to still keep it as vague as possible. And I'm not going to go too much more here. But, yeah, they're destined to come together. So that's a thing there. And then, it's once they kind of do, it's what is Ciri? Ciri is something, what is she to become? What is she? What is her role in this world? Part of what's kind of weird about this is if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you're kind of watching this, you kind of... You're not going to be able to help but think of Game of Thrones, I think, at points of this. There's kingdoms, there's, like I said, there's riches and so forth. There's, group fighting this group, that fighting that group. We need to get an alliance with this group. So maybe on a much smaller scale, but there is that angle to it. So I think as you're watching this, you're kind of, if you're over a Game of Thrones and you're kind of worn out by that, it might eke in while you're watching this. I don't think if you've watched all of Game of Thrones how you could watch this and not see it, but it's not, let me not say that it's too heavy on it. It's not going to get too into it, and it's not as confusing. It is still a little confusing to pick up and keep who is who, but not as confusing. It's not as many different moving parts here. But yeah, you're gonna, those three characters, some other characters, and a changing environment with these monsters and what's going on, and the power struggle that's happening is going to be a lot of at play here. And again, Siri is going to hold a huge key to it, and what happens with her. So yeah, I'll say this about the series. Every time they have some terrific fight scenes. I'm blood and guts all the way. I mean, there are some times where he's like, it's not all monsters. Sometimes he's fighting regular humans, and sometimes that lends to the best blood and guts of the show. There's some great moments where he just annihilating some people. Just, I don't know any way to say it. I mean, he's just cutting heads off, pieces off. A lot of sword action. Just it's good stuff. I mean, I really enjoyed that. The fighting the monsters are really good scenes. You can give and take. Maybe not necessarily win all the battles, but the monsters win some over. Obviously not him because he's the star of the show, but over some people. So the monsters are going to get some. I think the graphics are good enough. The monsters are good enough. I would say, as we kind of move towards the end of season 1 and into season 2, kind of strays a little bit away from the monsters a little bit. Again, a lot of storytelling, a lot of building on these characters, where they're coming from, where they're going. So, I kind of had my visions going into this. This is, it's a lot of battling monsters and so forth, but it's just never that simple. As much as you just want to see people just battle these monsters, it's always got to be so much on top of it. But yeah, it does gonna stray a little bit. There is obviously some romance and love in it. Gotta throw that in. Gotta have that. Good or bad, it's there. And again, you can have the story in the present. You can have some going back, and just filling in some of the pieces of where, some of these castles and some of these groups of people are coming from, and what they're trying to accomplish, and why they're doing the things that they're doing. There is some comedy. The Witcher finds himself with a guy who doesn't really want around, but he's around, and every time you think he's gone, he comes back. There are some elements of comedy in there, and it's led mostly by him. So there's that as well. So you're going to get a little bit of touches of some other things. So it's not so simple as what I was hoping was just let's kill a bunch of monsters. But, that's the way it is. Yeah, and then, as season 2 kind of develops, it's just going to be a lot of you're going to learn more about the Witcher and what Witchers are. He's not the only one. You'll get a little bit into that. You'll see that he's not all alone. Like I said, there's Ciri, there's Yennefer, but there are other Witchers. He's not all alone. You'll get to learn a little bit more about them and their history and where they all play on this and what their future is in this world. That's played. Their future is definitely at stake in what is all happening here as well. So lots of going on. So, without going into terrific detail, like I said, there's obviously more of the story to be told. Like I said, there's spin-offs, there's prequel. There's lots going on, I guess, in this universe. So we're just going to have to see where it goes. I'm going to say I was into it, though. It wears on you a little bit when, you kind of want the fighting and whatever, and you're not getting that, and you kind of have to get twirled up in all the storytelling and whatever. But it is what it is. It is what is expected, I guess. They have to do all this. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Glad I watched it. Glad I finally got to do it. It was fun binging it, if you can binge it. Does it say here? Let's see. 17 episodes, I guess, between the two so far. So it's not terrible. I think they were almost an hour, I think. I think they were almost an hour. Every once in a while there's a series that's like a half an hour. It confuses me. But yeah, I definitely, if you kind of like this fantasy thing, witch thing, monster kind of thing, I think you'll enjoy this. The death scenes are good. The acting is good. Lots of good to be had in it, to see it. But like I said, it's another. I think I just did another review. It's another thing that's continuing. It's incomplete. There's still more to do. So I think I'm gonna leave it at 3 pools of blood out of 5. Just because I want to see, I want to see more. I want to see where it goes, where it expands to. Um, I definitely enjoyed enough of it. But I need to see more. I need to see where this is heading, where certain people's fates end up, and so forth. Um, to really gain the whole experience. So for now, that's where I'm going to leave it. I fully expect hopefully, unless they just bomb at the end with a crappy ending, fully expect to probably give it higher pools of blood. With hopefully what I'm hoping happens with certain characters and where it goes. Um, but I guess I'll leave it at that and just say if you haven't jumped into this yet, jump into this world because I don't. Like I keep saying, this is not the end of it. There's going to be more to it in all directions. And if you like it, I don't know yet. I haven't committed myself to whether I really want to watch this prequel or whatever and get that much into it. If I, for whatever reason, find out, it's really going to lead me to need to know what is going to happen, what is really happening here truly, maybe I will. I probably will. I probably will, but not going to be at the top of my chart. But I would guess at some point I would just because. As far as any kind of comic book or whatever, that's a little bit. I don't usually jump that far into it, but yeah. So yeah, I think I did pretty well of keeping that as short and sweet for 2 seasons. I know I've rambled on with other stuff in 1 season for longer, so I'll leave it at that. I think it's self-explanatory, and I think it's got some good reviews here according to IMDb. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely see it, and I think everybody who's interested has probably seen it or will be seeing it soon. So with that, again, 3 pools of blood out of 5. And we'll jump into it. horrorlsgoryreviews.blogspot.com is down below. Click on that. Go to the blog. Enjoy written reviews. The video reviews you'll see are there as well. But if you just want the video reviews and my rambling, hit the subscribe button. Like, dislike, your choice. Not going to pressure you either way. Twitter, Facebook information down below. Talk horror with me there. Talk about this, other stuff you want me to review. Please feel free. Comment section, the same. Comment on this video, comment on the show. You want to reach out to me, feel free to do so there as well. Try to get back if you do put a response. If you do hit me up on Twitter or Facebook, let me know that you did it through one of the videos. Appreciate it, so I know. You don't have to tell me which one. Just say, hey, I saw you on the video, and that's it. Yeah, with that, I guess we'll wrap this one up, and I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.